Hey, how's it going? This is Hoy Fishing. I am Seiki, here to talk to you about the experience we had out in the saltwater this year. That's all we did this year is jig and using sack jigs. Kind of had a little intro, but just a little quick deal about these jigs. They're 15 years in the making, and they're all handcrafted, come in assortment of colors and sizes. 1/32 to a half ounce, but this is what we used out in the salt water this year. I'm going to kind of show you these colors all, and in the salt water there was actually a variety of colors that worked very well, and this was a pink year this year, but we didn't start pink fishing yet. We went and did some went out for sea bass, and when we were out there sea bass fishing, the colors that we used and got fish were that, and this is what my kid was using. This is what he kind of just stuck with and caught fish and got a sea bass on. I used a little more variety of colors, and mine were kind of in that the chartreuse and whites, the orange and white, but mainly and that peach color. So those were what we were using. You just kind of stick with the ones that catch fish, and but did very well. The flounder fishing, we did a lot of flounder fishing too. We are still flounder fishing. I actually went out yesterday, but I did not fish for flounders. I was out there fishing for squid, and but let me get you off of here real quick, kind of show you exactly what we were. So these are all the saltwater colors that did very well, and almost every color caught fish. All pretty much caught fish, and we did a lot of lake fishing, the saltwater fishing, and my gosh, my deal is just falling apart. It don't matter how far this thing goes up, I just can't. There we go. Let's go with that right there. Ta-da. Yeah, so in the saltwater we did very well. We did a lot of flounder fishing, whatnot, and rock cod fishing. The sea bass fishing, we didn't get to do a whole lot of that, but we had a lot of things going on here at the Hoy's residence, and but these are the colors that we used. The flounder fishing, I kind of went with the 1/8 ounce down to the 1/32 ounce, and for flounder fishing, and I used a variety of colors. One of my favorite colors that I did use was, I'm trying to look for it right now. It's got to be here. I did see it. There it is right here. So this is the color that I kind of used for the flounders. My oldest kid, he really liked these blues, so he went with this. Did very well on the crawdad blue. I don't getting flounders. My kid, he just sticks with his color. This color is a hot color. I just can't say enough about that color. But I used all the different colors, and I got flounders on pretty much all of these. One thing about this, like with the way I fish for flounders with these jigs is, I drop shot them. Majority of the time I'm drop shotting these jigs. One thing I did find out about fishing the saltwater when the salmon are getting ready to come in is that the salmon love these drop shot, and I was hooking a lot of these salmon on the 1/32 ounce. The 1/32 ounce. I just could not believe it. And so that's what I was using and the kings and the cohos were latching onto this thing. It was crazy. It was a blast. And I was actually down here at the waterfront, and I was using this here in the 1/32 ounce. Ended up hooking, I don't know, 4 or 5 flounders out there. That was fun on light tackle. And all of a sudden I saw a king swim by. I mean, he was probably about 10 feet from the shore, probably weighed right around 18 to 20 pound king buck. Nice looking fish, swam right by. I go, wow, there goes a salmon. I was flounder fishing, and all of a sudden, bam, king ends up hitting it and started ripping my line. Ended up bending my 1/32 weight almost completely, 360'd around, and yeah, so that's crazy. And almost every time we went out there and I was drop shotting for flounders, I ended up hooking a salmon. And so you got to be aware of that. So now I'm not using the 16th ounce. Is probably the smallest I use now. I just like the 1/32 on the drop shot. I don't know. I just rather use a 1/32. It just seems the right size, the right for flounder fishing. But the 1/16 works very, very well too. So I ended up switching to this, and I was able to start getting my cohos in. And this is a 1/16 right here. And so my kid, I think he uses 1/16 and 1/8 ounce. And that's what I should start switching off to, is a 1/8 ounce. At least I know I got a better hook on there. And but yeah, that was a really cool experience. I've drop shotted for flounders most of my life. I love fishing for flounders from California here to Washington. And I used all sorts of different, and I've been around salmon while I'm drop shotting for flounders, and I've never caught a flounder that way. I mean, a salmon that way. And this is the first year that we went out and we floundered fish with these jigs, and we knocked them dead. The salmon were killing it. And so that was really, really cool. Nice experience, and it was a good technique that, so now we know, right? I've used, like I said, I've used different types of plastics, but I've never had kings and cohos latch onto those while I was drop shotting. And with these, I was able to catch cohos, and we caught a lot. This wasn't like just one here, one there. I mean, you're talking, let's see, how many did Aaron hook? Aaron hooked 4 kings that day. Then he went and ended up hooking 6 cohos. I ended up hooking 2 kings, and then ended up hooking about 4 cohos. I'm not too sure, but ended up hooking quite a bit of cohos on it. And then out here in the Sound, I ended up hooking and losing 3 kings and a couple pinks on drop shotting. So really cool technique to use, and it worked very well. And so that's kind of, and out there in the saltwater, we were using the 3/8 ounce when we're jigging. To when we finally started, when it's salmon season opened up, we ended up switching over to the 3/8 ounce. That was kind of the go-to size. The 1/2 ounce, it's only when they're out deeper, a little bit deeper, and I need to launch out a heavier weight. But I say 99% of the time it was the 3/8 ounce down. And one thing about out there saltwater fishing and fishing off the shoreline, and throughout the days, every week things started changing, because these fish are they're getting fished really hard, and they're starting to see stuff. So one thing I did notice is and everybody was having fun, lots of fish were being caught. is downsizing. That is so important to learn, is to downsize. I know you want that distance. That's one of the reasons why we use the light lines. I see a big difference in using light line compared to those guys that are using the heavier lines. When they start getting skittish and getting finicky, and these fish aren't biting, and only a few fish are being caught, we did very, very well in the colors. Now, the go-to color when we were out there fishing for those was the pink. The pink was the hot color, and it was hard to stay away from this pink. And then, but I was able to just go, okay, let me just start seeing, switching colors and whatnot. Now we got them on this. Now, another thing about these pink salmon too, or any salmon species, they don't just hit a certain color. A color might be hot, but there's other colors that'll work just as well as that pink. And I'm about to show you here in a little bit, not quite yet. And I'm missing one color. Oh, here it is. So the colors that were being used were primarily the pink. Now, and then we ended up switching to this one here. This was another one out in the saltwater that does very, very well. Now, this is the one with the pink head. Now, there is a difference between these. It may not seem like it, but there is a difference to the fish. One little story. So we're all out there, we're fishing the pink, and we're getting a few, and we know that there's hundreds of fish going right past us, but we're only getting a few. And my buddy was using this color, and it was almost every single cast. And then I ended up going over there going, hey, what color you got on? And he shows me. I switched over to this, just the orange tentacles, and these orange eyes made a big difference. And this one here, it was almost every single cast. So that little slight bit of a change definitely made a big difference. So that's what, so I make both of those colors. And it's really, really weird. So let me show you one other lure here. It's pretty similar to the ones I just showed you. Now, this one here and this one here, they look pretty much the same. I mean, it's pretty much the same except for the color of the head. I'm trying to get this to, I think you can see that. This one here has a pink head. This one here has an orange head. This one here did better than this one. But in the lakes, the smallies loved this color. Crazy. They would not take, and even though that these colors are all pretty close, they wouldn't take this color in the lakes. But they would take these two colors in the lake. The one with the orange head and the one with the pink head, but with the orange tentacles. I don't get it, but that's how it turned out. And throughout the years, now this one has been in our arsenal for quite a while now. I think this is now going on the 6th year or the 7th year this one here was made up. And this one here, yeah, this one's it's a hot color. So yeah, those little changes and those little differences makes a big difference. And I was gonna get rid of this color here until I started hooking bass on them. And it was just letting it sink to the bottom, jigging it off the bottom, smallie. If I was casting it and twitching it back really quickly like a jerk bait, smallie. Bass fishermen, this is something, a color that you're gonna need to have in your arsenal. You know, regardless if it's this or if it's a lure that you like using, just to let you know, that is a great color. Here in Washington, it did very, very well for the smallmouth bass in the lakes that we fish. So My kid out in the salt water, this is his go-to. I made this color up here about, I don't know, now going on probably about the same as that one. 4 years. So this one here has been 4 years. This color here has caught a lot of kings. And but this is the color he used out in the salt water when the salmon were in. This is what he was using, and he ended up getting almost all his fish on this. My oldest didn't get to fish too much, but when he did, this is the color he used. And even in this, like I said, I'm just going to keep repeating myself here and there. The size is 3/8 ounce when the salmon came in to 1/4 ounce. 2 1/8 ounce. That's what we used for the salmon when we're out there saltwater fishing. So the line that I use is 8-pound test. I don't go lighter than 8. And I got one rod that is a 10-6 and another rod that is a 9.5 jigging rod. And that's what I primarily use for this cohos and the pinks when they were running. And the other colors that we ended up catching fish, oh man, we had days where we were out there and we're casting and the fish were just coming by, and there wasn't a whole lot of people catching. I remember one day it was probably about over 20 people fishing, maybe more than that, and everybody's fishing. A fish gets caught down at the end. But not a whole lot of people are catching fish, and they're not getting limits that day. And they were just rushing through. And even with us, we're getting a few here and there. And then I ended up switching over to this sherbet. This one here was made this year. This is one of our new colors. And as soon as this thing was put on, it was just like the lakes. I put this on in the lakes, and it knocked them dead out in the salt water. I used this, and it knocked them dead. And I was very shocked. I did not think, just because I have so much more confidence in the pink, and the pink was all right, but the fish are slowly figuring it out. They're hearing that weight hit the water, and they're racing away from those splashes. But there were days like that where that they were just being really skittish, and certain colors. So it's very good to have a variety of colors. And like I said, this pink and orange did very, very well. Just changing up the colors made a big difference on catching these fish. So these were all these colors that we ended up using to catch the fish here. So and there we go. So those were all the colors that we pretty much caught fish on. I mean, it was almost on every color that we caught fish. But when the months went by, it really made a big difference on downsizing and the color changing. And so that made a big difference for us to continually catch a lot of fish in a day. Was just not constantly changing colors, but frequently changing colors. And yeah, so I mean, we fished all over the shorelines and fished with a lot of people. And yeah, so that was the big difference, is changing up these colors. And if they're not biting a certain color, they're going to see that color pink. And if you got the same fish going back and forth, acclimating to the fresh water, you definitely got to change up. It makes a big difference. And there are days where you do have to downsize and give them a slower presentation, and they'll really gobble that up. So those are little tricks that we did. The jigging is still the same as the lakes, and I'm using the 3 pops. There's 2 pops or 1 pop. Now the 3 pop is what I normally stick with, and I slow that down or I speed it up. I'm downsizing my weights from an 1/8 ounce to 3/8 ounce. So that's all I'm using. And the 1/8 ounce, I'm not using a whole lot, but I will, if they're close, I will start slamming on these little 1/8 ounce if they get closer to me, and just letting that thing fall slowly, and they will just smash it. But the 1/4 ounce is what I primarily use. I can get pretty good distance with the light rods that I use, and that's what I mainly use. It's just my body doesn't work the way it used to, so I really can't have a lot of weight in my right hand and sitting there trying to jig, and it makes it really hard to use the heavier rods and whatnot. But my lighter rods, I'm able to fish a little bit longer. So those are the sizes. Okay, saltwater fishing, 3/8. We went all the way down to 1/32. When we're fishing for flounders, we're just sticking with 1/32 to an 1/8 ounce. Using when I'm out there salmon fishing, it's 1/8 ounce to a 3/8 ounce is what we were using. And when we ended up hitting the rivers, it was primarily 1/4 ounce for me. If I needed distance, I did have 1 rod set up for the 3/8 ounce just in case I needed distance. But primarily using the 1/4 ounce was my go-to. And now when we hit the rivers, still the hot color was the pink and orange, the all pink. And you're not gonna believe this. So I ended up coming up with new colors this year. And when we were fishing in these rivers, everything changed. We had really, really good days when we first started in the rivers. The months went by, and then they started getting a little more skittish. They were just swimming straight up the river. There were less being caught. Everybody was still having fun. But I've seen those days where no one's hooking up. And we came out with a new color. And it's a couple colors, actually, that really did very, very, very well. I'm hoping to have one here. I do have it. I just need to make a little mess here. I've got to make a mess here. I hate doing this. But I thought I had it out. I'm looking. I do not have it here on the table, so I'm going to have to open a package up, I do believe. And there she is right here. So let me pull these 3 out here. And what I'm going to show you is just mainly 2 colors here. Well, 2 new colors. And I do have it here. I just seen it. I don't know why it's not. I have no clue why. And there it is. And I swear I put it right here. So like I said, the pink and orange, they were phenomenal. I'm missing one more color here. I got to get this color out here because let me tell you, there were certain colors that started really hooking the cohos because there were so many peaks coming up in the rivers, and cohos were trickling through with the pinks. I mean, the kings came in first, and then the pinks, and then the cohos kind of was just trickling in. And when that was happening, there were certain colors that did better. than others for the king and coho. So we were still sticking with the same colors, and like I said, months went by, the fish started figuring shit out, and it was started getting a little more difficult to hook these fish. I mean, you were still getting fish, but it's just you're putting a lot more time in. I ended up making, actually I started with this one first, and I ended up making this bubblegum color. This is our bubblegum. This is a new color for this year. And this one was popping. This one killed it. Did very, very well on it. Caught a lot of fish on it. When those days they were getting really skittish, this is what was happening right here. And the one right next to this one caught just as many fish on those hard days. And this is another color right here. This is our shrimp. This is our shrimp color right here, and this one did phenomenal. Like I said, these pinks do not just hit pink. You've got to switch your colors and downsize. Downsizing is probably one of the most important things to do, is to downsize. These rivers are getting shallower. There's lesser water. You want to present these things as long as you can to them. So you're able to keep these out in the water a lot longer than you can your heavier jigs. And the 1/4 ounce was used pretty much primarily the whole time, was the 1/4 ounce. But then, like I said, this is my oldest kid right here. This is what he uses. There's blue hair on my tentacle right here. I can't see it when I look directly at it, but when I look in the camera I can see it. But this is what he used here, the purple and black, and this one did very, very well. This is what my oldest caught his cohos on when they were trickling through, and he did very well with that. The other color that came up and started doing very well was the blue and pink. This is what I got my king on and my cohos on this year. I lost a lot of cohos this year. It was crazy on the amount of fish that I lost, and I lost probably about 15, 16 cohos. But I mean, I'm just happy that they're smashing these lures. So that was really fun, just to see them flash on it, or them just coming up and just out of nowhere, you don't even see them, they just come out of the woodworks and just smash. And I was getting smash downs after smash downs on them. And I'm going to kind of show you the colors that we were using, and they're going to be in different sizes because I don't have all the sizes to keep them all looking the same. But I'm going to show you exactly. If I have a big, this is a little bigger one. It's got a string on it, but this is one of the deals. Actually, we didn't even use this color, did we? No, we did not. So I'm going to pull that to the side for now. It's a great color, and definitely a great color. Caught a lot of I have that color in there already. And I'm just making sure that I don't have, and this was another color right here, this white, my oldest was using. He did use this, and he was pissing me off because he was killing them on this color. I did not expect him to catch them, but that day, I mean, they were hitting the pink. That's what my second oldest, Aaron, ended up hooking his king on that same day that he was using this. My oldest was using this, and Steven knocked him dead with this. The other colors, they did fairly well. That's the first day I ended up using this one. The first cast, bang, nailed fish, and this thing ended up being a very hot color. But I'm going to take you off the stand here for a second and let you see these really colors here. And those are the colors that we primarily use. Now, if you want, I can really even downsize this whole thing. Here, I just got the vise in the way here. So the most consistent colors, I mean, they all did very well. Every day was kind of different. That's why you kind of need different colors. Each one of these, especially like this one here came up, and I did not think to use this, but I'm happy my oldest did. He did very well on this and caught a lot of fish on that. But if I was to just start breaking everything down on the colors that I primarily used, this one's a hard one in this area here because these three kept on catching fish. Pull that one out, this one, this one, this one. And there you go. So I'll even downsize it even more to the colors here. I will get this one out just because I got that. So this is what it really ended up being right here. Now, throughout the weeks and the months, it even got downsized, even not as in the weight, but in the selection of colors that I ended up using. Because it's now chum season. I mean, we're still getting cohos, but we're primarily fishing for chum right now, and that even downsized even more. And this is the hot color here. So the colors are pretty much staying the same. It's pretty much staying the same, and I just haven't used the other colors. That's the only thing. I have not used the other colors. This is what I'm kind of sticking with right here for the chum. And we did very well. The color that I pretty much use when I'm out there is that. That is all I'm kind of using for the chum right now. But the other colors do work. My kid was using this one here, and he got them on that one. So, but I haven't even tried using any of the other jigs. But I've got to, just to see if they'll hit any other colors. But this was the one that I was primarily using, is this purple, the purple and black. And that one there did very, very well. That is what I'm using right when I go out. This is the color that I'm using. So, and that is working very well. Yes. So that's that. And that's what's been happening in the rivers right now. I'm going to kind of just put these all back in here again. So next year is going to be very, very fun. It's just a coho season next year. There ain't going to be no pinks next year. And we'll definitely be out there because we kind of figured these guys out. And we should be able to, hopefully next year, I won't be losing as much fish. And there's my colors right there. Let me get this sucker in there too. Blam. Yeah, so that's the saltwater colors that I primarily use right there. I mean, not this in the river. In the river, this is what I primarily used in the river, these colors. My go-to size is the quarter ounce. I don't use the 3/8 as much when I'm in the river. I do use it. I do have a rod set up just in case I need to get distance, but I'm not using that rod if I'm getting them on this, or they're in close, not on the other side of the river. But I pretty much use quarter ounce and 1/8 ounce. When I start getting further up the river, I'll even downsize to a 1/16 ounce. So I'm constantly downsizing my jigs. But normally I am sticking with that selection right there in the colors. And I haven't even tried any of my lake colors out there. I did use this one. I apologize. This one here has caught Caught cohos, unreal. I was actually on a different river than what I normally fish, and I ended up catching cohos. Me and my daughter ended up hooking cohos on this here, on the Bobo Brown. So there you go, guys. hoyfishing.com. You can really see the colors there. And